You ever look at a pile of scrap and see a mountain of regret? Because I spent yesterday morning staring at a bucket of 3D printer poop, that curly plastic spaghetti that happens during color changes, and realized I'd basically paid for a steak dinner and only eaten the garnish.
That is a very expensive salad, Tiger. But honestly, I thought that was just the price of admission for the fancy multicolor stuff. Is the spaghetti monster finally being tamed?
It's looking that way. Welcome to the TigerDen Daily for April 24th, 2026. We're deep diving into why your 3D printer might finally stop acting like a wasteful toddler, why the normalization of the economy is actually a secret weapon for contractors, and how to build a boat in your backyard without losing your mind or your spouse.
Or your garage space? Let's start with the tech, because I know you've been eyeballing that new Bamboo update. What's the word on the street?
So Bamboo Lab basically pulled back the curtain and admitted what we've all been feeling. Their AMS system, the thing that swaps the filaments, is a marvel, but for heavy color mixing, it's like using a fire hose to fill a thimble. They're now pushing multi-nozzle hardware. It's a bit of a shift. Instead of one nozzle trying to bleed out the red to get to the white, you just have dedicated heads.
Wait, does this mean I have to buy a whole new machine?
Well, it means the era of one tool for everything might be hitting a wall. But the real kicker for me is the Creality M1. It's a filament maker for the home shop.
A filament maker? Like I can literally cook my own plastic?
Exactly. You take those failed prints, the benchies that lost their heads, the supports, the actual waste, grind them up, and extrude them back onto a spool. It's like a sourdough starter for makers. You never have to throw the discard away. You just keep the cycle going. It turns the shop from a consumer of materials into a closed-loop ecosystem.
That sounds great until your custom blended filament jams the nozzle and you're spending your Saturday afternoon with a blowtorch and a prayer.
Hey, that's where the character is built. But honestly, there's also the Atom Form Palette 300. They're trying to do 12 nozzle color without the machine looking like a small car. They're rethinking the cut and feed mechanism. It's clever, less like a plumbing swap, and more like a high-speed relay race.
Speaking of things that are stabilizing, you mentioned the economy. I feel like every time I turn on the news, someone is screaming about a cooling market, but you're calling it a silver lining? Explain that logic, Tiger, because my grocery bill says otherwise.
I get it. Growth is the buzzword everyone misses. But for those of us with boots on the ground, 2026 is becoming the year of normalization. Think of it like this. For the last few years, the trades felt like trying to run a sprint through a swamp. Material prices were jumping around like a caffeinated kangaroo, and you couldn't find a helper to save your life.
And now?
Now the dust is settling. Stability is the craftsman's best friend. When I can tell a client that their lumber package will cost the same in June as it does in April, I can actually sleep at night. We're seeing more predictable timelines. It's the perfect moment to stop chasing the quick buck and start building a fortress of a reputation.
And I saw there's some serious money being thrown at training. $43 million in grants?
It's a massive push. They're trying to bring 50,000 new workers into the fold. My advice for anyone listening who's feeling stuck: don't just go for general labor. Use those grant-funded programs to get certified in high-margin niches. Specialize HVAC or smart grid electrical systems. That's where the boring money lives. And believe me, boring money is the most comfortable kind of money.
Boring money buys very exciting tools, Tiger. I know how you work.
You've got me there.
All right, let's talk about the maker mogul side of things. Marketing. I know most of our listeners would rather sand end grain for 12 hours than write a promotional email. How do we survive this?
It's the value ladder concept. I was looking at Russell Brunson's stuff recently. The guy's a wizard at this. Most makers try to swing for the fences immediately. They want to sell a $5,000 dining table on day one, but you have to build a staircase.
A staircase?
Yeah, start with a $5 sticker, then maybe a $50 DIY kit, then the commission. It's about building a relationship where the customer doesn't feel like they're being mugged. And honestly, show the struggle.
You mean like when you accidentally glued your sleeve to that mahogany desk last month?
Exactly. I looked like a flightless bird trying to escape a trap. But people love that. They don't buy the perfect product. They buy the story of the guy who fought the wood and eventually won. If you act like a flawless robot, people will just go to a big box store. If you show the sawdust in your beard, they'll wait 6 months for your work.
Note to self, stop filtering out the mistakes. People want the authentic Tiger, glue sleeve and all. Okay, let's get into the weekend projects. I'm looking at your list here. Japanese shop upgrades, a designer nightstand, and a catamaran? Tiger, one of these things is not like the others.
Look, I likes to provide options. If you're feeling overwhelmed, go the Japanese route. There's something deeply meditative about making a simple, elegant rack for your chisels. It's not just about storage, it's about giving your tools a home so your brain doesn't have to hunt for them. It turns the garage from a junk drawer into a sanctuary.
And the nightstand? That sounds like the real world win for most of us.
That's the save $800 play. Furniture prices right now are, well, they're optimistic, let's put it that way. But if you grab some high quality Baltic birch plywood and some pocket hole joinery, you can build something in a Saturday that looks like it came out of a high-end boutique. It's basically printing money.
Okay, but the boat. A catamaran. Who is building a boat in their backyard this weekend?
Someone with a very patient family and a thirst for adventure. Look, a catamaran project is the ultimate test. It's woodworking meets chemistry once the fiberglass comes out. It's the project that says, I am the master of my domain. Or, at the very least, I really enjoy sanding.
I think I'll stick to the Japanese chisel rack for now. The sea can wait.
Probably wise. My first attempt at a boat ended up being a very expensive, very heavy bird bath.
So, what's the big takeaway for today? Between the multi-nozzle 3D printing and the normalized economy, it feels like the theme is refinement?
Exactly. We're moving out of the chaotic growth phase and into the professionalism phase. Whether you're a hobbyist or a pro, the winners this year are the people who fine-tune their processes. Stop wasting material, start building a value ladder for your customers, and organize your space so you can actually enjoy the work.
And maybe try not to glue yourself to the furniture.
No promises on that one. It's part of the charm.
That's it for the TigerDen Daily. We want to see what you're getting into this weekend. Tag us with #TigerDen Daily.
Go make something worth keeping. We'll see you Monday.